Guys, I remember crying that day during the screening, and it was not even because I wanted to do the stuff.
I think going to school is actually worth it. So for you, do you think going to school is actually worth it?
The most profitable part of mass communication was PR and advertising. Being a rich person that does not know book or is not really as educated, right? And when I'm talking about books, I'm not talking about, oh, I'm a first class graduate, but
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the second episode of Journey Talks. Today's episode we'll be talking about job search realities, transitioning from graduation to employment. This is something a lot of people don't talk about. People are not comfortable just going to school without having side hustle or side skills, and they'll be like, oh, you know what, when I graduate with good grades, I'm going to get that job. See, that job that I've always wanted, I'm going to get it. Guys, with that being said, we have somebody here with me who will be sharing our own job search realities experiences. She'll also be giving insights, back-to-back strategies on how to land your first professional role as a fresh school graduate. I know this is something you're going to enjoy. This is something you're going to like, no cap. So without further ado, let's welcome Sam Jaja Boma. Hi, Boma.
Hi, Chidera. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. How are you doing?
I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Aside this economy, but we are surviving. So without wasting time, we're just going to dive into why we are here today. So we're going to be asking a series of questions relating to job search realities. So Boma, are you ready for us today?
Yes, I am. Let's go.
Okay, let's go. So guys, we're going to ask her the first question now, Boma. So the first question is, can you just tell us briefly about your educational background and the degree you pursued?
Okay, so I have a BSc in mass communication. I specialized in PR and advertising. So yeah, that's a little bit of what I studied in school. And you know, like mass comm is the whole, when you hear mass comm, most people's first thoughts, the first thing that comes into your head is OAPs, radio host and the likes. But then there are other aspects to mass communication. So I chose to focus on PR and advertising. Fun fact, it was it was not like one of those decisions that I got into school and I was like, okay, this is what I was going to do. I remember when we're asking our HOD how mass comm is, and I remember he told a few of us that mass comm, the most profitable part of mass communication was PR and advertising. So because of like what he said, obviously now who does not want to make money? I chose that part. So yeah, that's a little bit of my background.
Okay, so guys, if you are studying mass communication, that means you have a higher chances of using what Boma will be telling you here to your own advantage. So let's go to the second question now. How did you decide your field of study? I think you've explained it in the first question I asked. How did you decide on your field of study? Was it influenced by personal interest or external factor? Was it because, oh, you just liked mass comm, or was this a money day mass comm? I just enter mass comm. How was it for you?
Okay, so before I got into school, just a little backstory. I was not very decisive of my future. When I was in secondary school, I feel like most of my classmates, they already knew what they were going to be doing after school. And when I would even have those conversations with them, I was very clueless. I can remember just being in SS3 and every single day I would be so worried, like I'll be so worried because I did not know what I wanted to do. And then when I came out of school, I remember just like talking to my dad, and because like SS2, SS3, SS1, when I got in senior secondary school, I noticed that I really liked government. And so I was like, okay, let me just go and do political science. And so, but then I started realizing when I was in SS3 that, God, this is already becoming hard though. I'm not sure that I can pursue this, but I was like, okay, I'm still going to do it. So fast forward to getting into like writing JAMB and everything. It's time to now pick a career path. And I remember telling my dad like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. And he was like, oh, why political science? Go and do public administration. And mind you, this is this is like a big stretch. It might be kind of similar, but like I wasn't sure that this was something I wanted to do. And yeah, and like back now, if I had done public admin, I would have failed so bad.
So bad.
I would have felt so bad. So this is how mass comm now came about. Obviously went to the same university. So if you know Chidera's university, you will know my university. So during the screening process, they had checked my results. My WAEC was complete. My JAMB was complete. But I think they said that there was something I didn't do in WAEC or something. And if I wanted to do public administration, I would have to do that. And so you guys... You guys, I remember crying that day during the screening, and it was not even because I wanted to do the stuff. I just really wanted to please my dad so bad that I was going to go for it. But then they were like, this is another alternative. You can just go and do mass communication, and when you're in 200 level, you transition. But the rest is history, because I did not end up going back, right? Yeah, so that's how I chose. That's how I found myself in mass comm. I feel like, let's just say mass comm chose me or something else.
Oh, you chose mass comm. Yeah. Anyways, you should have finished with yes, mass comm.
Yes.
Okay, that's actually a very interesting one. So let's move to the next one. Do you think going to school is worth it? I mean, at a point in life, I thought going to school wasn't worth it because of the things I experienced after school. Now, but I think after some time, I was like, you know what? I think going to school is actually worth it. So for you, do you think going to school is actually worth it?
I will say this, right? When I hear this conversation of school na scam, do I like actually agree sometimes? Yes, I do. But then when you look at like certain career paths, and this is not only restricted to certain career paths, right? But let me just start with that first. When you look at doctors, engineers, and stuff, imagine we didn't have doctors and they didn't actually go to school. What would be happening in our theaters, right? What would be happening in the hospitals and stuff? How will we have bankers? How will we have these professions? But then I think that this is where the balance comes in. I feel like education helps you have like should I say, soft landing, where you know that minus reading and writing, you know how to process things, right? Imagine a rich person that does not know book or is not really as educated, right? And when I'm talking about books, I'm not talking about, oh, I'm a first class graduate, but you know, like the basics, you would get cheated a lot. It would hinder you from getting opportunities, right? So I think that it's important. But then that's not all. That's not all it is. Like if you say, "Oh, I'm going to depend solely on education," I'm not really sure. I'm not going to advise that. There are other things that should be considered. Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that brilliant and wonderful answer. Guys, I hope you're learning one or two things from this. If you are, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment saying you're enjoying this. Okay.
Very important. That's very important.
Now, the next question. How was your initial job search experience after graduating? Was it smooth? Was it very difficult? How was it? Were you prepared for it?
So I was not prepared for it. And the truth is, when I got out of school, I did not start searching for jobs immediately because I wasn't even sure for a fact that that's what I wanted to do. Like, did I want to continue pursuing mass comm? I wasn't really certain of my bearing. I don't know my bearing, basically. I don't know my bearing. It was exciting to have graduated, right? Everybody is usually excited, but then I didn't know my bearing, and I remember just being at home and just thinking like, what is next? And yeah, so I didn't really start searching for jobs immediately after school. No, I did not.
How long did it take for you to land your first job after graduating? How long did it take?
I would say maybe a year. That sounds scary, but I have an explanation, right?
Okay.
I said when I came out of university, I wasn't sure what I was going to do, right? Yeah, so because of that, I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just go for NYSC and see what's going to happen. So while I was doing my NYSC, I just was like, okay, let me take some courses to see, okay, what's the path, what's the future, what does the future hold? And so it took me till after I came out of NYSC, I got back home, and then I started finding, like, actively looking for a job. Yeah.
What were the things you had to do personally after graduating that helped you land your first job? What are those things you did personally on your own?
A good question. Like I said, I took some time to just take some courses because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And in that process, I was on LinkedIn and I saw that this organization was looking for a digital marketing intern at the time. It was a non-profit organization. And so I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just go and like work in this space, right? And so I was there, and they would give us tasks, we would create graphics, we would do a lot of research, we would do a lot of writing and everything. And one of those days, the woman said something to me, the woman that I was working under, and she said that I wrote really well. And I was like, okay, maybe this is something that I can actually, like, you know, like, yeah, you had to take a lot of internships, courses, learning from people, you know, watching a lot of YouTube videos, because I think that sometimes we only just think about getting the job, but then there are a lot of character traits, soft skills, collaboration, and the likes. And yeah, maybe we might have touched on that a little bit when we're in school, but you know, the education system in Nigeria leans more on theory. And so even when you get some opportunity to work with your peers, it's not as much, right?
So at that time when you were working as an intern, were you being paid, or it was just for the experience sake?
No, there was no payment. there was no payment at all. As I said, I was doing my youth service, so I was getting like my alawi, even if that was not enough, and also support from my parents. So, and mind you, I was living on my own. So
then
yeah. So I had to learn a lot of management, you know. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah.
What challenges did you face during your job search, and how did you overcome them? What are the challenges you faced?
So the thing is, I wasn't very certain, and even when I was even looking for jobs, I didn't even know what
you wanted to
I didn't even know what I wanted, right? Yeah, because I feel like there was a part of me that knew that there was something I should be doing, but I was too scared to put myself out there, right? So that might be your issue. That might be like someone's issue, right? And I think that's something you need to work on, because you know what? Let's touch on that later. But I wasn't really certain of what I wanted to do, so I was actually dragging my feet.
And where do I want?
Yeah.
What should I?
Yes, I was dragging my feet. Yeah, I know that initial stage of getting a lot of rejections, right? Because you don't even know what you don't know what you're good for, and I'm sure like that's very frustrating, Sha, because you just keep applying and you're not getting any response, and you think that something is wrong with you. Maybe there's actually something wrong, but yeah, that was like my major challenge, not knowing what I wanted to do, or the fear of going into what I actually really knew I was supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Guys, I'm sure you're enjoying this. Please leave a like, leave a comment below as we continue. So what platforms would you advise other people to join when it comes to searching for jobs? Like what platforms did you personally use and stuff that helped you and worked for you?
When I landed my first official gig, I think it was, I don't think it was on LinkedIn I first got a job. Yeah, but then there are other places. There's Jobberman, there is Indeed, there are other sites, like, you know, I think that sometimes we like to limit ourselves to certain platforms, but there are other places. There is Simply Hired. There are a lot of, especially if you're looking for remote jobs, yes, there are other platforms that you can check to get jobs. So don't limit yourself to just one. But I would say if you're starting out, maybe you should try to build like credibility in your field or in your niche on LinkedIn, so people can know that, okay, this is what this person does, right? Yeah, so that's where I started from.
Because for me personally, I actually got my first job, and the job that I'm still working on from Indeed. I can remember I tried applying for jobs on LinkedIn. It didn't work for me. I tried Jobberman. It didn't work for me. I had to try Indeed, and that was how I got my first job. I started off as an intern, and from then, after the internship, and they saw that, oh, this girl is actually very efficient, they now promoted me. So guys, don't limit yourself, and you can start off as being an intern. The experience is what matters, and not the cash at first. We know that the economy is not making things friendly, but guys, the experience is what matters actually.
And some, I'm even looking at that from the perspective of getting the experience. And if you say, oh, you don't want to continue in that space, you can always go and use the experience that you have gotten. Yes, yeah, do you understand? It would make you look more credible, like, oh, this person has worked somewhere, even if it's an internship. Like, yeah.
How did you go about creating your CV and your cover letter? Is there any tip that you will give to people to make their own CV stand out and would help them get jobs?
Okay, so when I first started, I had this really crap CV template that I was using. And then obviously I started to hear, oh, like maybe many of the reason you might not be getting jobs is the way your CV looks, right? Because there are some things that we used to use back in the day that is very outdated and stuff. So the first ever resume I created, I think I used my hand to just like draft things out, and that was how I got. Funny enough, I don't even know why. I don't know why those people employed me, because maybe it was just because of the, yes, because that CV is not really looking good. Oh, okay, wait, no, this is a different story. This is a different one. The first one I did wasn't really looking nice, but then I did one internship, and then I was talking to one girl like that I used to work in a team with, and she told me about this thing called Kick Resume. It's like an AI resume writer, but it's not like it's free. It has a free version, but then it's not free. So I think I used that to like create my my resume that got me the job that I did, right? Yes. So that was how I did it. Then I think sometime towards the end of last year, I paid for Jobberman's CV. Yeah, so that's it for me. You know that sometimes they say ATS scanners, that's the scanner that HR people use when picking candidates, can spot if you use ChatGPT and stuff like that. So I would advise that you try one of these people that offer these services. Jabberman's own might kind of be expensive, but then I think I've not used Yard. They are a job platform, so they also put out job posting. They offer that, and I think it ranges from 5k to 15k, and yeah, so that's a lot more affordable than Jobberman. But if you want to try Jobberman and you have the money, please, by all means, let me not be the one to discourage you.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah,
guys, I'm sure you're enjoying this. Please don't forget to subscribe if you've not subscribed, like and drop
very important
as we continue. So can you share any memorable interview experiences you've had before? And what did you learn? What was the exact thing you learned from that interview?
Okay, so the one that landed me the job that I do right now, when I applied for that, I was very nervous. I didn't even know, like, it was such I was just stuttering, I was all over the place, but my boss was really kind, and when he talks about it in meetings, sometimes he always like references the whole thing of how I was all over the place. And to be honest, I think what that taught me is sometimes you just need to calm down. Just take a deep breath and calm down, right? So that was because he was actually very patient with me. He could have seen that as a red flag and not picked me.
Like, oh,
yeah, but yes, but eventually, like, he still chose me regardless. So that's like one memorable one.
How important do you think internship and volunteer work are for gaining relevant experience? You think it is important?
It's not even supposed to be any. It's not supposed to be a conversation. Yes, to be honest, and for me, this is just my opinion. I think it doesn't have to be up. It does not. You should not make this an option. The reason is because in this space that we are in right now, yeah, it would give you an edge. And especially if you're someone that is maybe a creative, maybe you're a social media manager, a graphic designer, you are a writer. If you have those experiences and you bring it forward to someone to hire you, I bet you they'll pick you over someone, they'll pick you over any other yes, because they know that, okay, this person has this experience, this person has worked here, they've done this, they've done that, so it gives you an edge. And especially for portfolio building, especially if you're someone that's like a creative, maybe you do social media management, you, because now people don't want to just hire you. You say, oh, this is what I do on my resume, and they'll just say, okay, her resume looks good. Sometimes they want to see, like, yes, show me, say this the way they talk, if you do them. So you need to present your portfolio and all those things. And if you intern, it gives you that opportunity. It doesn't have to be paid. And I'm not even going to lie and act like, oh, the economy is not hard. Actually, like when you just graduate, there's a lot of pressure.